The US government has released more information that could shake the world. A second batch of UFO data. The first batch on May 8th already contained fascinating details. But in the second batch, there were even more interesting materials. This time, they even captured a UFO accelerating instantly. Let's take a proper look at this today. Let's get right into it. On May 22nd, the US Department of Defense released UFO data collected by the military and intelligence agencies from all domains: air, space, land, and sea, based on President Trump's executive order. They also released a large number of flight videos of unidentified objects recently captured on battlefields. Let's go check out the UFO videos right away. This is a video taken by the US Central Command on June 1st. 2020. The video was shot by an infrared sensor mounted on a US military platform within the Central Command's area of operations. You can see a large object spinning around as it heads upward into the sky. And then it suddenly disappears to the left. It almost looks like a living creature, but a similar phenomenon was reportedly discovered at Sequoia National Airport in the US. The video on the left was taken in 2015. It's even clearer than the footage shot by the US military. As you can see, it looks a bit like a fly or an alien, and you can even make out the shape of a face. Both videos show similar appearances. The common point is that they spin around as they rise up into the sky. This is one of the more interesting videos. It was filmed on January 1st, 2021. This footage was taken by the United States Central Command. It was filmed in Syria. There was a luminous object, and it shows the object flying at high speed. The object briefly ascends, then speeds by even faster. You can sense the surprise of the American soldier filming it. It accelerated at high speed for several hours. This footage was filmed on June 1, 2024. It was recorded by the US military, and as you can see, there are 4 objects flying in formation. They are flying very close to the surface of the sea. The Department of Defense analyzed this footage, but finding no answers, sent it to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office says they are unable to determine what this phenomenon is. This footage was taken by the United States Central Command on October 7, 2020. The video was filmed by the US military. You can see a sphere flying over the city. The sphere is black. The US military personnel who discovered it continued filming. You can also see a more zoomed-in view, where the shape of the sphere is clearly visible. Because the footage is very clear, it even looks like it's made of metal. Rather than being a perfect sphere, it appears a bit wobbly. At one point, the US military detects heat. This phenomenon also could not be analyzed by the US military, so it was submitted to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. The footage was taken by the US European Command on August 1, 2022. You can see the sphere flying in the sky. Behind it, smoke trails like a comet can be seen. What's really fascinating is that it suddenly reversed course, and it can freely change direction as it wants. What's amazing is that it can also control its speed. As it moves, its shape changes. Sometimes it's rectangular and sometimes it's spherical. This footage was taken on January 1, 2023. It was filmed over the Yellow Sea off Korea's west coast. A shining spherical object can be seen passing by in an instant. It was captured moving straight in a direct line. It's moving at a very high speed, so fast that the camera can't keep up with it. The US military investigated these materials but couldn't identify the phenomenon, so they sent it to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which also failed to solve it. It wasn't solved. This is a video taken in Kazakhstan in 2022. A brightly glowing object was seen floating in the sky. This is an unidentified flying object filmed at Karaganda International Airport. It emits a blue light, but it's still unclear whether it's a celestial body in space. This video was taken on April 12, 2021. This footage was recorded by US Central Command. You can see a very clear video here. A UFO was captured, and even its shadow was recorded. The UFO briefly descended to the ground, but after that, its location could not be confirmed. It appears that the UFO landed on the ground, but exactly what phenomenon this is has not been determined. In fact, the materials released this time are closer to unsolved cases that have not yet been explained, rather than proof of the existence of aliens. But there is a separate reason why the United States is taking this issue so seriously. It's because of national security. If these objects are actually top secret military equipment from hostile nations like China or Russia, not alien technology, the situation changes entirely. Several released videos show cases that are hard to explain using conventional aircraft movements. There were scenes where they suddenly changed direction, accelerated to incredible speeds, or hovered motionless in the air. There were even UFOs that accelerated instantly, which says it all. The US military said they couldn't identify the propulsion systems or flight principles. The problem is that these objects are appearing all over the world, and they're even being found in US airspace. For the United States, this is naturally a very sensitive issue. If a hostile nation were to acquire technology that allows them to freely penetrate the US air defense network, the very foundation of America's security system could be shaken. Until now, the United States has been regarded as the country with the world's most powerful surveillance and air defense systems. But if unidentified objects are approaching close to US military fighter jets, hovering around nuclear facilities, and even flying over Middle Eastern operational zones, the US is likely to perceive this as a significant threat. What's even more unsettling is that the US still hasn't come up with a clear answer. Even the United States, with its unmatched military power, says it's difficult to definitively explain what these things are. Therefore, the release of this information is not just a matter of curiosity, but a highly sensitive issue connected to US security strategy and military technology competition. Of course, we can't conclude that all these phenomena are the result of alien technology. Some in the scientific community are suggesting the possibility of new meteorological or atmospheric phenomena that humanity has yet to fully understand. In fact, if we look at human history, we haven't always understood every natural phenomenon from the beginning. In the past, people couldn't properly explain why lightning struck, why sudden flashes of light appeared in the sky, or why massive storms formed. Back then, things that were considered acts of divine wrath or supernatural phenomena were later explained as science advanced and the underlying principles were discovered. Some of the phenomena now called UFOs or UAPs may also be unexplained atmospheric events that haven't yet been scientifically analyzed. For example, plasma phenomena, high-energy particle activity, changes in electromagnetic fields, or extremely rare pressure events could create unexpected lights or movements under certain conditions. In fact, military infrared sensors or high magnification cameras can capture phenomena that are difficult for the human eye to see. So to the average person, these things might seem very strange. And there are still many unknowns about the space environment as well. Even NASA astronauts have reported witnessing lights or objects during missions that were difficult to explain. Of course, in some cases, it was later concluded that they were caused by ice crystals or reflections, but there are still cases that remain unexplained. Many scientists believe we should keep collecting and analyzing data instead of quickly assuming these are extraterrestrial beings. This is why the US government now addresses the UAP issue from scientific and security angles. They are not ruling out the possibility of phenomena that humanity does not fully understand yet. Ultimately, the reason the US government continues to transparently release these materials is because they want to identify this unidentified threat as soon as possible, even if it means relying on the collective intelligence of civilians and academia. To us, UFOs are a mystery, but for the US Department of Defense and the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, they're an urgent security threat, so they're desperate to solve it at any cost. Some might even think it would be more comforting if it turned out to be the work of aliens. There are also speculations that President Trump is releasing these UFO materials to divert attention from other issues. Actually, the topic of UFOs itself is very powerful. It's a subject that even people who aren't interested in politics will click on at least once. After these materials were released in the United States, social media, online communities, and the media became flooded with UFO stories. Especially with the release of videos showing sudden acceleration in cases that the US military couldn't explain, people's interest has exploded. Some suspect the Trump administration is intentionally shifting public attention to UFOs due to the complex situation in the United States, including economic and addiction problems. The Epstein issue is also tangled up in all of this, making the situation even more complicated. When the US government began releasing decades-old UFO data, suspicions of a political motive grew. In American politics, such suspicions are common, with claims that major topics are used to distract from sensitive issues. Given the massive impact of the UFO disclosure, conspiracy theories suggest other projects or war plans might be hidden. Still, President Trump has often discussed releasing UFO data as a campaign promise. He has previously mentioned disclosing UAP and extraterrestrial information, and said this February he would release related data, so many believe this disclosure isn't a random event.